Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Houston Sharpshooters Draft the Glory franchise mode here in NHL 22. So in last episode, we had the draft and the re-sign stage and free agency, and we did pick up a former defenseman of ours in Dante Yip, so our team is looking a little bit better than last year, I'd say, in terms of especially on defense, but also because we are getting like growth from guys like Petrovic, Cole, King. So our team looks, I think it's improving a little bit over the last few years. Also, never know really how this team is going to simulate with Morgan Griffin on the back end, considering he has had some insane seasons here in his first 3 years. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what he could do this year, and hopefully he can continue on that pace, because if he could continue on that pace, this team might have a chance to make the playoffs. And if not, like I said, I hope that we are kind of one of the worser teams in this league, just because I'd like to get ourselves a top 5 pick for this roster, because guys like Jaskalainen and Thornton both on the decline. Burns probably on the decline soon too. It's going to be very tough once we start suffering retirements, especially to guys like Tara Tukin, for example. So yeah, I'm just really hoping that we could have a pretty solid season, and hopefully we can win a Stanley Cup this year. But like I said, at the same time, if we could get to at least maybe 1 or 2 years where we get an elite prospect in and don't suffer any big retirements, this team could be pretty good soon. So I just really hope that actually happens. It probably won't, but you never know. So anyways, let's get into the season simulation and see how this team does. Like I said, I have no expectations for this team, actually. I have none. Because like I said, that we might want to win a Stanley Cup, but I have no expectations for this team. Because I don't know if we're going to be a playoff team. I don't know if we're going to just barely miss the playoffs. I don't know if we're going to finish in the worst top 5 teams in the league. I don't know. I just never know with the Griffin on the back end, because last year he really surprised me with 107 points. So we finished 4-1-2 in the preseason, pretty solid. And look at that, Griffin 10 assists in 7 games. You can see easily why I like this guy a lot. Like, this guy's already turning out to be a channel legend, and he's only played 3 years in the NHL, which is kind of nuts. 2 Norris trophies, 2 Lady Bings, I think, as well. So I'm very excited to see what he can put up this year. He should be able to win his 3rd Norris, I'm assuming. But that all depends on how the rest of our roster does as well. Because if guys like Jaskalainen and stuff are scoring, then he should be able to pick up a decent amount of points. I don't know how the addition of Yip is going to affect our defensive core, but I hope it does pretty well. We're also a little bit weaker in terms of goaltending this year. I forgot to mention that, because we did let go of Park again. And yeah, Dominic Vlasic is going to get an opportunity to play. He's had 2 years in the AHL where he's been actually really solid. As you can see, last year he had 5 shutouts and 920 save percentage and a 2.25 goals against. Then also played pretty solid in the playoffs too. So hoping that he could be a pretty solid backup. We don't really know how good he's going to be. He's a 23-year-old, 76 overall fringe starter. So this is kind of like a make or break point for him. So I really hope that he can do pretty solid, but you never really know. But yeah, let's see how this team does. We will simulate halfway through the season, so we'll go to January the 1st and see where we're sitting in terms of the standings and all that, and see if this team is a pretender or a contender, I guess you could say. But yeah, we should be still solid offensively just because of Griffin. And we start off the season on a 4-game winning streak, so that's actually really great. 5-0. Okay. Wasn't expecting this hot of a start. When are we going to start dropping off here? Okay, this team is all of a sudden like undefeated. 1 loss this regulation season so far, and then we lose 3 in a row. Yeah, there you go. We started off the season really hot, and now we're on a losing trend like we should have been at the beginning of the season. But still a really good start to the year, which might help us out in terms of the long run, in terms of the regular season. Like I said, I would rather make the playoffs for certain, or I would rather miss the playoffs by a long shot. Because when you're like those tweener teams, it's not fun because you always get really terrible picks. But yeah, our team is off to an insane start. 22-8-2. Goddamn. How much points do you guys think Griffin has at this stage? I'm just going to throw out a random guess and say 50-something points already, even though we're 38 games in. 24-11-3 at this rate. We might make the playoffs unless we have a terrible second half. And, yep, okay, Griffin's got 55 points in 38 games. He's on pace for over 100 points again this year. He's on pace for maybe even better than last season, which is actually insane. 10 goals and 45 assists. This guy's probably the best defenseman in any NHL franchise mode. Even if it's your franchise mode, I don't care. Morgan Griffin's the best defenseman ever. All time. He's already better than probably most defensemen I've ever drafted in this entire series and other series before this. So, holy crap. At least with also having like injuries kind of off, like they're at like 7, I think, it will make it so at least he doesn't get injured, which is good. We are currently, looks like top 5 in the league in terms of the standings, which is pretty good. Just need to keep on playing good offensively, and hopefully Griffin can carry this team to a cup. Because I never had a dynamic offensive defenseman really like him. Because like I know that Taratukin picked up like I think a 70-point season at one stage, but he's not the same type of player as somebody like Morgan Griffin. So let's go another month. Take us a little bit slower since we're in the second half of the season. But right now it looks like our offense is too good for us not to make the playoffs at this rate. But we're losing a couple games in a row, so kind of staying at 500. Or not 500, but still kind of losing a bunch of games occasionally. 30, 16, and 3, so a little bit of a rougher month. But we are still 3 points up on the Wild in a wild card spot, which is kind of funny. Gold Knights are in the wild card spot as well. They have 55, so we're in a pretty good spot as long as we keep winning games. And Griffin, oh my god, 69 points in 49 games. I don't even know what the math is in terms of how much points he's up for, but he could win an Art Ross this season. Because he almost won an Art Ross last year, but he came second best in the NHL. So if he wins an Art Ross this year as a defenseman, I'm going to lose my mind completely. So let's go another month, see if this team can win some more games. Because like I said, at this rate, I want to make the playoffs. Or else we're going to have a tweener pick. And that's not going to be great. But I think the addition of having Griffin on the back end is definitely turning this team around. Sucks that we have a lot of guys on one-year deals, though. So there's a chance that we could drop off after the season. But who knows. 40, 20, and 3. Really good season up to the trade deadline. Griffin's already got 86 points. He's definitely hitting 100 points for the second straight season. Unreal. Less goals than last year, though. Last year he had 29 goals. This year he's got 14. But 86 and 63, he's got another 19 games left. He picks up maybe 2 points a game sometimes. So he's going to easily hit over 100 points this year, I'd say. Anything about him for instance in terms of the activity feed, though, because since this episode's going by kind of quick, I just want to see if there's anything that says that he had like a 5-point game or something like that, because, man, is he nuts. Let's see, any crazy games for him in terms of points-wise. Just talking about us winning games, which is not a surprise. But yeah, without him, I don't think this team would be a playoff team. Simple as that. Unless Jaskalainen is having a career resurgence as well. But it's just crazy how old those main guys like Thornton and whatnot are. Like, if those guys all retire at the end of the season, and if we end up losing some big players, there probably won't be a chance for us to win a cup. But at this rate, maybe we'll get at least this last run with it. But I still will go to the end of the 25 years, even if we miss the playoffs in the last, like, 3 seasons or something. Because this is just too fun of a series. Unfortunately, it doesn't say anything about Griffin having like a 5-point game or something, but he's probably had at least a couple multi-point games with this type of stat line. Like, I've never seen a defenseman put that much amount of points. Never. If he wins an Art Ross, there's never been a defenseman, I'm pretty sure, that's ever won an Art Ross. Unless it's Bobby Orr. I don't know if Bobby Orr has ever won one. I'll just go Buyer, and we will go continue simulating. I wonder how we're going to do in this last month. It's a little bit of a busy month. We got a week with 4 games in it, so this is our make or break point. Let's see if we can clinch our way to the playoffs, and I am very curious to see what Griffin finishes this season with. But yeah, if we're a first round exit this year as well, though, that's also going to be a disappointment, but I really hope that this team just goes really far. Like, maybe Griffin will just go off in the postseason this year. Because it looks like we're going to hit 50 wins potentially this season. Unless we go on a losing streak. Yeah, we might hit 50 wins. We got 4 more games. Can we hit 50 wins after missing the playoffs? Because I didn't expect us to be a playoff team this year, really. And yes, we are. Of course we are. And we're going to finish 52, 26, and 4. Wow. What a good year for the Houston Sharpshooters after missing the playoffs. And Griffin finishes with 109 points. So he had 2 more points than last year. So not as big of an incline as his first 3 seasons of 20 points more each season, but 109 points from a defenseman. He's got back-to-back 100-point seasons. Before we take a look at the team stats and player stats and stuff like that, I got to take a look at his individual stats of his career so far. So, but where are we going to finish, it looks like, standings-wise? It looks like the second best team in the NHL, which is a big surprise, big leap. I don't know if Vlasic played really good, but I just want to quickly take a look at Griffin's career. He's got 370 points in 328 games. He's now a plus 100. He was only a plus 6 this season. So, looks like we weren't good defensively, but our offense was off the charts because of him. 34 power play points, and 13 of his 18 goals were on the power play. So, that's kind of nuts. Wow. And he blocks a lot of shots too as like an offensive defenseman, which is very interesting. Wow. How did he do preseason-wise? 10 points in 7 games. Should be interesting to see what he could do in the playoffs. After the last time he was in the playoffs, he had 5 points in 7 games. So that's interesting. He's only 81 overall still. I don't know why he's not getting any statistical growth, but wow. What a year for Griffin. I wonder how much points the rest of the team got, because last year it was a big drop-off after Griffin. But let's take a look at the standings stuff first, and then we'll take a look at the player stats, even though I'm very intrigued to take a look at those player stats. So entire league-wise, we finished second best in the NHL, only behind the Winnipeg Jets. We finished with 7 more wins than the next closest team, which was the Nashville Predators. I really hope we're not a first-round exit. We were top 5 in terms of offense, so we weren't the best offensive team, but still pretty good. Goals against per game-wise, we were not that great. Or maybe we were around mid-table. We allowed over 3 goals a game. Interesting. So around mid-table, looks like it's a bit of an offensive league. Power play percentage wise, we were one of the best power play teams, third in the league, 23.8%, probably because of Griffin. And our penalty kill was also looking pretty good at as well, as 86.1%, so not too bad. And the exact same record on home ice and away, which is really weird. I don't think I've ever seen that. And 5 short-handed goals. I really hope we're not a first round exit. Please just give me a cup this year, game, because if I get a cup this year, at least I'll feel like I've accomplished something with Jaskalainen and whatnot. Okay, let's take a look at these player stats now. Sorry about that. Well, what the heck? Jaskalainen, 103 points is a career high. He's 37 years old. He's dropped down to an 85. This might be the year he retires, but what the heck is that all of a sudden out of nowhere? And he's also almost at 1,500 points in his career, but what the heck did that come from? Because he's been a consistent, like, point producer, but then he randomly has 92 points, like, 6-7 years ago. Or 5-6 years ago. Then he's kind of, like, dropping off because of age, but randomly just picks up 103 points, probably because of Griffin and that power play unit, but regardless, what a year for Jaskalainen. This guy is a career legend, and maybe he's going to win his 9th Selke trophy this season. Really good face-off numbers and very good takeaway numbers. There's a chance, but he had a lot more giveaways this season than normal, so. But if he does win his 9th Selke, that'd be really insane. Obviously, I would trade that for a Stanley Cup, though. Burns, 81 points. Really good season from Burns. Like I said, I gave him a 1-year deal just because of the cap situation, but yeah, he was pretty good. He's had a really solid career as well, plus 25 this year, and that's why I kept him around as well, just because once Jaskalainen retires, we need somebody to take over that top-line role for a few years. 40 points from Petan's pretty solid. A little bit, actually the exact same total as last year. He's been kind of consistent in terms of picking up points. Pietrangelo, 31 points again from this guy, so this guy actually can produce as a 75. But I don't really know if he's worth the $2.6 million cap hit. Wharton, 23 points is pretty good. Radulov, 21 points, not bad. Gene Thornton also had 84 points this year, and he broke 40 goals this season. 48 goals from Gene, which is a career high. Almost a 50-goal season. He hadn't broke 40 goals in a while. Like, he had a 40-goal season in his second season, and he had one in 27-28. He had one in 20-32-33. One in 36, and yeah, this was his best season right near the end of his career as well. He's dropped down to an 84, so will he retire at the end of this year? Wasn't expecting that from him. King had 50 points, so a very good season from King, and that might have helped us out a lot as well. That's his best season of his career as well. Consistently getting better. I like it. Jacobs, 29 points. Only 6 goals this year, which is a big drop off from last year where he had 20 goals. Probably because of lack of power play time, I guess. Right wing wise, Petrovicki, 44 points and 33 goals from a 78. Wow. Wasn't expecting that. But yeah, this guy's a pure goal scorer, so got to keep him around as well. Really good shooting categories, and especially in that accuracy. So that's nice to see. Cole, 41 points. Also really good from Brock Cole. So a lot of the younger guys are starting to step up, which is exactly what I need. Got to give some of those guys longer term deals. And then Afinisenkov randomly had 17 goals. Has a 77. That's pretty good. I will definitely take that from a fourth line type of guy. And then defensively, Morgan Griffin, as we were mentioning earlier, this guy is absolutely insane. Only one season in the AHL with over 100 points. And then just getting better every single season. I've never seen a defenseman this good. Never. I really hope he does that in the playoffs as well, because then it will be really fun to watch. Teratukin, 74 points. Really good season from him. Is it the last year of his career with us? I have no idea, but he's been a really rock-solid defenseman as well. Almost 1,000 points in his career. It's nice. He's actually plus now. Dane Lowe, 27 points. That's pretty solid. 8 goals from the 78. Sedin only had 23 points this year, and it was a minus 11, so that's a big drop-off for Sedin over the last few years in points. He's not really consistent, but I will take it still, I guess. McGrattan, 20 points isn't too bad. Only 1 goal this season after having 13 a few years ago. So a couple of defensemen scoring less than they did before. And then Yip came into the lineup and picked up 15 points and was a plus 10. So maybe Yip helped us out a lot more than I expected him to. Nice. Goalie-wise, let's see what we got here. Daryl Goalie, 36, 20, and 1 with 3 shutouts and 899 out of 303. Isn't really that great. But I guess I'll take it. Worse stats than last year. But maybe he'll have a good playoffs. Who knows? And then Vlasic was pretty solid as the backup. 16, 6, and 3. 2 shutouts and 890. Save percentage isn't good, though. And a 306 goals against isn't either. So our goaltending definitely needs to be a little bit better. But maybe it'll be good in the playoffs. Who knows? Let's take a look at the entire league. Let's start by forwards, just because I don't know if Griffin won the Art Ross this year or not. See what we got here. Who is the best player in terms of offense, in terms of points? Oh, it is a forward. Damn. So no Art Ross this year for Griffin. Unfortunately, Ludman picks up 118 points, but Griffin's going to finish second best in the NHL in points again, which is actually insane because he had more points than Sedlak and Gortz. Jaskalainen was also up there in points, which is kind of nice because he has never been, I don't think, that high in the standings for points before. Interesting. Best goal scorer this season was Cadman King of the Montreal Canadiens, who picked up 70 goals. God damn. That's an insane season. When you're outscoring Cristiano Scarabelli, then you know you're doing it right. Scarabelli hasn't been the same since he went to Arizona, I don't think, but still. Yeah, Scarabelli had his worst season in his first year in Arizona, but he still has had like 50-goal seasons almost every year of his career, which is kind of crazy, but yeah, that Kane guy ran only 70 goals. Most assists is going to go to Gortz. Not surprised. That guy probably set him up a lot. Best plus minus by a forward is Ludman with a plus 51. Most game-winning goals by a forward, Javon Sanders, who recently signed with the Islanders. 13 game-winning goals. Most power play goals for fun. Gene Thornton had the most power play goals. Nice. 19 of them. Most short-handed goals is going to go to Alfredson with 4, but also tied with Haynes, Fedoruk, and Rodney. Let's take a look at the face-off percentages by guys that took a lot. So Snyder's not going to win the Selke probably because of the takeaway count. My guess. I don't know. I just really hope that it's Jaskalainen and wins the Selke. Most fights this season, just for the fun and the memes, is LaFlamme with 32 fights. Him and Gauthier Leduc both had 32 fights. So a couple big aggressive players in the NHL apparently. Interesting. Best defenseman is going to be, Griffin by 30 points. So Griffin's going to win his third Norris. Unless it comes down to plus minus. I hope it doesn't. But Griffin should easily win this Norris again. Because if he does, then that would be his third in the last 4 years. Which is actually ridiculous. Wow. He has totally ran away from Jeffrey because in his first season, he didn't win the Norris because of Jeffrey in terms of plus minus, but since then, Griffin has been insane. Wow. We got him on a steal of a contract, too. 7 years at 13.5. And in goalie-wise, the best goalie for wins is going to be Bickle and Biggs with 41 wins apiece. Most shutouts is going to be Murley, Josephson, Janik, Biggs, Denny, and Nemus, all with 5. Best save percentage by starter, Murley and Benson. So Vic Benson might have a chance to win the Vezina this year. And best goals against by starter is going to be Murley. So it looks like it's probably going to be Murley that wins the Vezina, but Benson definitely is up there in the running as well. Any goalie goals for fun and memes? Nope. Any assists? 4 assists for Mackerland. Huh. And the best rookie this year is going to be Cesar Couture, who is a 22-year-old rookie of the Carolina Hurricanes with 78 points. Interesting. So there is that. Now the question is, who are we going to be playing in the first round? And the question also is, are we going to be able to get past the first round after a really good season like that? I don't know. I really hope that Griffin could just go off and I could carry us, but we're going to be taking on the Nashville Predators. Not a surprise, we've played them so many times before in both of my series that I've done. They went 5, 21, and 16. Let's take a quick look at how they did it during the regular season. They were 3, 3, and 4 in their last 10 games as well, which is kind of scary. I feel like we're going to get ousted in the first round because of that. Only a 2-point differential between our teams because they had a ton of OT losses. They scored more goals than us as well. They allowed less. We had a better power play, and we had better penalty kills. So we were better special teams-wise. They were better 5-on-5. But, yeah, I'm scared. I feel like our team might have over-assimilated, and we're just going to, like, randomly be a first-round exit. But maybe Griffin has other plans. Or Jaskalainen, for that matter, since he had over 100 points. Let's take a look at those Preds again. Even though they're probably pretty similar to when we played them last, which was 2 years ago. So, top line, they have Jorgen Pedersen, they have John Toms, and Marcus Jacobson. I remember Pedersen from last time around. This guy is a really good player, just 1 point over point per game. Second line, they have Woodworth, they have Pushkarev and Cooper. So it looks like their center depth might have dropped off since we played them. But they do still have really, really good wingers. Norm Boyce is a third liner, which is actually insane. They also have Mitchell Landry and Matty Koskarenta. And a fourth line of Lacerte, Canon, and Pettinen. I almost said Pettinen, but Pettinen. So that's a really good roster. You have really good wingers. You have a good top line center, I'd say. You have good wingers on this side. The only thing is the center depth isn't the greatest, but yeah, that's still a really good team. And then defensively, they're not that great defensively. It looks like their defense might have got worse since we played them as well. They have Michalowski and Liston. Second pairing of Maurice Deneau and Spencer Bass, and a top 6 of Raphael Dupre and Angelo Dingman. Goalie-wise, Nick Climby, and they also have Frederick Sexsmith. So their goaltending is not the greatest. Their defense isn't the greatest, but they have a good offensive core. And in depth-wise, they have Patrick Takashi, Lorenzo Sampson, and Mike McNeely. So very solid depth as well on this roster. So it's going to be a very tough team to beat, but if we could beat them, then I feel like we could maybe beat anybody. I don't really know, because I don't know how good the rest of these teams are that are in the playoffs. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Houston Sharpshooters Draft to Glory. So in next episode, we'll take it to the first round against the Predators as we look to get ourselves to the second round and beyond. So I'm going to think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.